Tonight, police waste no resource in the bid to find a missing 19-year-old man from Adelaide. And a new headquarters on the cards for police in the far west.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Police have combed through dense bushland near Kimber as part of a large-scale search for Adelaide man Scott Redman. They say the chances of him surviving in the bush are next to nil. However, they're still yet to rule out his death.
At first light, police, the SES and CFS were out in force, hunting for the missing 19-year-old. A squad of 50 searched an area of 10 square kilometres around Secret Rocks, 40 k's east of Kimber. Mounted police were also brought in. Every little discovery was scrutinised as police searched for clues.
This location is our last known location for Scott and the motor vehicle that was found abandoned several days after the 21st of April.
No trace has been found of Redman, apart from a car he was allegedly in. Police say considering the conditions, there's little chance of him being found alive in the area.
Today's search of the scrub is in the unfortunate situation that he didn't make it out of the bush, and therefore we'll be searching for his body. And
complicating the search for police is the surroundings. Thick, dense bushland blankets the area, making the terrain difficult to access. While it makes hiding easy, it makes finding difficult.
This is a formidable challenge, and that will certainly make it more difficult to find Scott.
But they're refusing to give up on finding him in some capacity.
We have to exhaust every single inquiry for the family, so we can provide some resolution to them.
At Secret Rocks, John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Broken Hill will be getting a new police station after the state government committed $16 million to the project. It's a shot in the arm for local officers who have been operating out of the current site for more than a century.
$16 million for a new base of operations for our men and women in blue.
And I think it's a great opportunity here. We've got a brand new police station.
For almost 120 years, Broken Hill officers have been working out of this station in Argent Street. The building has stood the test of time, but the superintendent says it's time for an upgrade.
We're restricted, obviously, with what we do with this building through heritage restrictions. There's capabilities there with technology as well that were held back.
The state government has put up the funds to build a new hub for policing in the far west.
You've got your day-to-day operations, your duty officers here. We want to bring the crime management together, the administration, so they're all under one roof.
A short list of locations for the new station has been made. A decision will be made soon.
I can pretty confidently say it won't be in Argent Street and it won't be in the main CBD, probably on the edge of the CBD somewhere.
No matter the location though, the government says the new station will come together quickly.
Well, the location, once that's firmed up, the budget's announced in July. We'll go to tender as soon as properties can get that underway. I would expect the tender to be finalised by the end of the year and that construction would start early next year.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, Broken Hill police have caught a driver allegedly travelling at 166 kilometres an hour on the Barrier Highway near Wilcannia. Police say the man, a 52-year-old from Sydney, told officers he didn't think he was going that fast. The man's wife and 2 daughters were in the car with him at the time. He was fined over $2,000, received 6 demerit points and has had his licence suspended for 6 months. A helicopter ride to dive with great white sharks, glamping in the national park or staying on a remote island's lighthouse could all soon be new tourist attractions on the Eyre Peninsula. The ideas are part of a strategy by the state government to boost nature-based tourism.
Letting tourism ideas run wild in our national parks. That's the idea behind bringing new nature-based adventures to the state.
We were very pleased with the level of interest. We've not ever approached the market quite like this with such a big, basket of opportunities.
The state government put out expressions of interest to private investors and received keen interest on 14 opportunities, 3 of them on the Eyre Peninsula.
There's over 70,000 people that visit Lincoln National Park every year.
In the park, there's accommodation proposals to reinvigorate Donington Cottage and to develop an eco-lodge for tourists to go glamping under the stars. And adding to the already popular attraction, 80 kilometres south of Port Lincoln, the Neptune Islands could soon be travelled to via helicopter, where holidaymakers can stay in an historic building.
We've got a lighthouse over on Neptune Island and a main building that used to serve the lighthouse, and we think that there's terrific potential to look at accommodation and other experiences for tourists.
While these proposals could come to life as early as next year, the wild ideas for the next best tourism attractions may not stop there.
Certainly the hope at this point, though, is that we would be able to do issues of opportunities like this periodically into the future.
Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
There are calls for a livestock transshipping hub to be built near Port Augusta. A report commissioned into the safety and efficiency of the industry found that such a facility would be a necessity to the safety of both livestock carriers and their cargo.
It's the town at the crossroads of livestock carriers nationwide, and regional development campaigners in the area want a hub to keep them travelling safe.
A facility that allows people to have those rests, have those stock spelling, change their vehicle movements around and fuel their trucks is required here in Port Augusta.
He says a large traffic flow makes a logistical case for the facility.
There's 90,000 head of cattle and 2,000 vehicle movements a year coming through Port Augusta from the north.
Some of these trips can be over 2,000 kilometres, and trucks carrying stock through Port Augusta have no location where the drivers or the animals can rest and recharge.
And somewhere for that stock to rest and replenish its energy stocks through feed and water and what have you.
A cattle transfer facility has been built by IOR Petroleum at Yorkeys Crossing, allowing the livestock to transfer between the two trucks alongside each other. Mark wants a similar publicly available area to add wash bays as well as vet and quarantine services. With South Australia's pastoral sector a big contributor to the state's economy, regional development officials from this area want to see a proactive investment from the government. Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
In the news ahead, roll up your sleeves, Port Lincoln. The Red Cross looks for more blood donors on the EP. That's next. The Broken Hill film industry is set to fare well after a cash injection. The state government will help boost a local film festival and a hub for budding filmmakers.
2 cheques that'll keep the cameras rolling here in Broken Hill. During a recent visit, local member Kevin Humphreys opened up the state's wallet. First on the list, $20,000 to support the Perfect Light Film Festival, the world's first film festival to be fueled by solar power. Organisers say the response the festival had in its first year shows it has massive potential.
To see that it's been supported again and that it's going to happen again this year and for many more years hopefully ahead, it's wonderful for the film industry but also for the film-loving public of Broken Hill and the Far West.
The Sulphide Street Railway and Historical Museum Trust received $23,000 to house the old Johns Brothers Joyland Funfair collection. And the Screen Broken Hill Media Hub picked up close to $60,000 to upgrade its current home above the city's post office. The hub allows local filmmakers to come together to discuss projects, share ideas and work on their creations.
Having these kind of things is just it's another really important step forward in developing a grassroots local industry and helping us to produce more of our own content.
The funding is part of the first round of the state government's Regional Cultural Fund, $50 million shared across the whole state. Round 2 is now open.
It's also really important to acknowledge the tourism funding that's being talked about at the moment as well, because I think film and tourism, they fit really well.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
A university hub in Port Pirie is now looking certain thanks to a funding boost from the federal government. Port Pirie Regional Council has now locked in a new location for the study centre, aimed at providing face-to-face support for local students.
It's more than $1 million pledge to help improve higher education for students in the Upper Spencer Gulf.
Just that support base is really important for students, and to be able to have that in Port Pirie.
The hub will now be located in the heart of Port Pirie instead of the TAFE SA building.
Better looking at a shopfront type of facility somewhere where people can easily access, but is part of the normal streetscape. And they liked the look of our old library building.
The old library will undergo renovations to help entice kids who never dreamed of attending university to continue their studies.
Updating that building for not only for a COTEC, a community-owned tertiary education centre, but also the opportunity to make it an entrepreneurial and innovation hub as well.
The study space will have a strong emphasis on online learning, with an in-person tutor also on hand.
Office space, tutor space as well, but with the Innovations Hub it's all about access to high-speed broadband.
And if everything goes to plan, degrees will be on offer by sometime next year.
Hoping that we can get courses running by as early as next year.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
As winter approaches, so does the cold and flu season, meaning blood donations are needed now more than ever. The Red Cross is in Port Lincoln this week and is encouraging all those who can roll up their sleeves to do so.
Giving blood is a vital service that means so much to the nation's health system, but new donors are always in demand.
At this time of the year, we're coming into the winter season, so there are a lot of people who are not well with flus and colds, etc. So those people aren't able to donate. So this is the time where we do ask people new donors or those donors who've not donated for some time, to roll up their sleeves and come and donate.
It's an hour round trip for this Tumby Bay local to donate here in Port Lincoln, but she says it's a trip well worth it.
So worthwhile. It only takes half an hour of your time. There's, if you're able to do it, then why not?
This is Madison's third donation, and she enjoys receiving the text messages to notify her when her blood is used.
It's really nice to know that your blood has been used and where it's been used, and that it's actually been of use somewhere, because each donation is enough blood to save 3 lives.
The Red Cross needs 25,000 donations each week to help patients with cancer, immune disorders, trauma and more. And Port Lincoln certainly plays its part.
The last visit that we had here, we had over 180 collections in the 4 days we were here, which is terrific.
Giving blood is a quick and simple gift you can give to those in need, and it's a chance to feel great knowing that you're helping to save lives. Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
A regional advocate for hemp and medical cannabis is encouraging everyone suffering from painful diseases to help influence change. Diana Walter hopes by telling personal stories to local members across the region, medical cannabis products may be lawfully manufactured in South Australia.
But to sit down and tell that story, yes, have some emotion in the story, but tell the story about how their laws are impacting on their access to medical cannabis.
Medicinal cannabis can be prescribed to patients in SA, but Diana says the accessibility and cost of purchase are extremely prohibitive, often leaving patients suffering in silence. Still to come tonight, Port Augusta's inclusive basketball season gets underway. That's next. With 23 Australians dying from a heart attack every day, Port Pirie residents today learnt the warning signs to help reduce that number. Around 30 people took part in this afternoon's session, focusing on risk factors and the signs of an oncoming attack.
Of course, chest pain, but it's not always a typical pain. A lot of people say that they thought it was indigestion and that's why they didn't call 000. So it can be more of a discomfort, a pressure or a burning feeling.
The Foundation says it's important to act quickly and call 000 if you experience any of the warning signs. Basketballers from Port Augusta have lined up for this year's season of inclusive basketball. The competition encourages those who may not fit into an association sport to pull on the sneakers and jump on the court.
They've been eagerly awaiting for the season to roll around. Now sporting brand new attire, these basketballers are now ready to start where they left off.
The joy that this brings them, they love it. They look forward to it every week.
The modified competition is tailored for all abilities.
If they only bounce it 3 times down the court, that's fine.
But people like Billy and Mark give the ball to them and give them a chance to have a go, and everyone gets a chance to have a turn and shoot, don't they? Yeah. And a bounce.
And it's inclusive of all ages.
I love to meet the new friends and it's lots of fun.
Since the competition began 3 years ago, the popularity of the weekly shoot-around has soared.
Last year there were only 2 adult teams, and this year it's grown to 4 teams, so that's how many people have heard about it.
The moral of the program is to have a positive environment for all to enjoy the sport.
They're developing sportsmanship, leadership roles. It's really a great competition to develop so many different values.
I just get out of just enjoying the game and having fun with friends.
It's not all about winning, it's if you lose or win, you're just having fun.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
Time now for Fuel Watch. Here's Patrick.
Petrol prices continue to climb as we come to the end of the month. Some places are now charging $1.50 a litre. Starting with unleaded, and Port Lincoln has risen by ½ a cent, while Port Augusta is up by 2. Whyalla is the only one to not see any movement for the week. Both Kadina and Port Pirie have seen spikes of about 2 cents to join Whyalla on $1.49. Broken Hill is starting to get very expensive. We're averaging around $1.53 a litre. Adelaide motorists are now on the hunt for the best price they can find after the city's average hit $1.60. To diesel now, and it's more of the same, red arrows across the board. Port Lincoln is lucky to not see any movement, while the rest of the Gulf sees an increase. Whyalla is up to $1.54, 1 cent more than Port Augusta. Port Pirie has had a week to forget, climbing 6 cents to sit on $1.52. Kadina is also up, and the same goes here in Broken Hill, after we spiked by 5 cents. Adelaide has seen a slight rise, coming in at around $1.50 even. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell it for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Expensive petrol is never good news. Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details with Amy Stevenson. And Amy, will the Spencer Gulf continue to see sunny conditions into the weekend?
Well, it's good news for those heading outdoors this weekend, Fraser. With the pleasant weather set to continue, I'll have the details next. Welcome back. It was a beautiful day throughout the region today, with temperatures sitting in the mid to high teens. Port Lincoln, the warmest centre, with a high of 19, 18 and mostly sunny in Port Augusta and Port Pirie. Checking the satellite now, and a trough continues to bring showers and thunderstorms to the southeast. However, skies remain clear in the north under a high pressure ridge that's extending from the west. If you're out on the waters tomorrow, expect northeasterly winds up to 15 knots, with seas reaching 2.5 metres. Sunrise is at 7:14, while it will set at 19 past 5. And just before we look at tomorrow's forecast, many thanks to Karen, who snapped this beautiful picture in Wallaroo on Friday evening. If you have a weather photo you'd like to share, we love seeing them, and you can email it to us at localnews@sca.com.au. Back to tomorrow's weather, and more sunshine is on the way for all districts. Woodnut can expect a sunny day with a top of 20, while temperatures in Port Augusta, Cleve and Kadina will sit a degree or 2 cooler. After a cloudy Saturday, conditions are set to fine up again in Port Lincoln by the end of the weekend, reaching 19 degrees. Mostly sunny days ahead in Cleve. Meanwhile, in Woodnut, maximums will sit in the low 20s over the coming days. Nothing but sunshine predicted for Whyalla, with temperatures in the high teens over the weekend. Similar days in Port Augusta with a high of 20 on Sunday, while Kadina will also experience a mostly sunny weekend. Temperatures in Port Pirie will reach 20 on Saturday, with fine conditions going into Sunday. You may need to rug up in Clare, with maximums hitting 16 over the weekend, while in Broken Hill, a sunny weekend ahead with a top of 18 degrees. So Fraser, despite the showers earlier this week, it's set to be sunny, with the weekend creeping up on us once again.
Thanks, Amy. And that's all from the newsroom for now. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy your evening. Good night.